This is Lucy, your clarity coach, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3. Welcome to the negotiation series. In fact, it is the last episode of this 4-part series. Every day we are faced with decisions on how to move forward. And this goes hand in hand with negotiation. We have to figure out what is it that we want and how do we want it in our lives. So whether it is in your professional life or in your personal life, these 4 episodes that I am bringing to you live are going to help you in all of your negotiation phases. It is so key. Today in my city, in my country, in Nairobi, in Kenya, we are facing this very issue of negotiation, and we're looking for a win-win situation. It starts with you and it starts with me. This is what we need to remember. We are there out in the streets fighting for what we believe, and our fight is in standing still and peacefully demonstrating that the finance bill 2024 must be rejected. But when we look at the thesis of behind this idea of why must it be rejected, it calls to mind that you and I have a responsibility at this negotiation table. And in our 4 episodes, I have been able to bring this to you in a very practical way. We find ourselves at times being controversial on matters theory until it comes to the practicality. When you show up, what is it that you do? So we all have theories about how negotiations should be run. We know there will be a win-win, there will be a win-lose, and there could be a stalemate. These are the outcomes, one of the outcomes that is going to happen in any situation like the one that we are facing today. That does not stop you going to the table. So you are in the right place wherever you are, fellow Kenyans, out there standing up for what you do believe. And kudos and a shout out to all of you for standing up for what you believe. The question is, what led you to this position of being there? It's all about negotiation. Something was provided to you and you did not think it was a good thing, and therefore you fought back. Were you there in the beginning? And in my first episode, I covered 3 key principles, 3 of them. And one of them was on research. So researching on the matter that is before us, which is now the finance bill. It didn't come out yesterday, it came out earlier in the year. Were you aware of it? Was it part of your business? Research on the areas that affect you totally is key so that you can be found at the negotiation table to turn around the occurrences of today, what is happening in my country. So being able to research, being able to confirm understanding, this is what I'm hearing. Is this what it means? That is public participation. Did you take part in the public participation? Did you even know that it existed? Or are you just going with the wave today? It's more profound when you understand exactly what you're fighting for. And therefore, at this point, we're looking at understanding effective negotiation so that the next time it comes around, because yes, it is coming around next year same time, you are much more prepared for it. You are ready to stand up and do what you need to do in advance so that you can make a great impact on your life and the life of your country, your fellow men in this country. The second one was the power of influence. In the power of influence, we're developing conflict resolution skills for positive outcomes. We all want positive outcomes. So we need to be able to create a safe space for dialogue. And this could mean in any area of your life. What is it that you are doing to provide a safe space so that people can feel heard? That you can feel heard? That whatever respect comes out of it, it is because I was given a moment to speak, and I was given a moment to be quiet, to seek to understand where the other person is coming from. This is all about negotiation. In our 3rd episode, we were looking at assertive self. And what does assertive self look like? Well, assertive self looks like being able to build trust. And trust for me comes in 3 areas. And if you could just consider this for a moment, I'd love to hear your take here in the thread. The first one, when it matters of trust, you need to trust in yourself. Are you trustworthy? Can your internal mind, thought, things that are going through at that moment that you're thinking about, can you trust yourself? Once you trust yourself, you become a trustworthy person. That's what you pour out from the point of trusting yourself. So whatever trust looks like to you, are you that? And if you're not, what do you need to do? The second one is, do you trust others? And this is very simple. You can do it right now. When you meet somebody for the first time, do you meet them with a bias that you cannot trust them already for whatever they look like? Or do you already give them a chance? As we say in the court of law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Is that how you approach life? Or are you going on about life saying that you are right, you are righteous, that's the word I'm looking for, that you are self-righteous, that everybody else who does not measure up to what it is that you're doing is wrong? How do you approach other people? Then last but not least is trusting the process. What process is it that you're living in, that you're existing in, this environment that you're in? What is it that you are doing to ensure that you trust the process? Allow it. It moves 1, 2, 3, 4. A, B, C, D. What is it that you're doing? Maybe you're already fighting the process. In the middle of fighting the process, you're influencing other people. And we are all dropping the ball in a negative way. So if you're looking about asserting self, figure out matters of trust. Are you trustworthy? That is, do you trust yourself? Do you trust others until they cannot be trusted? Is that your first take when you meet them? And then number 3, allowing the process to unfold. Today's episode is on win-win. It's about looking for solutions. So don't get me wrong. I am not saying that you're going to walk away with the idea that you had in mind and you walk away with a prize. I'm talking about the process. By the time we leave the table, do I feel seen, heard? Do I feel like I contributed something and somebody understood where I was coming from? These are things that are so important that you and only you are in control of. What is it that you need to do today to allow that safe space of dialogue? Well, today's question, like every other Tuesday, I pose a question to you. How can you practically overcome deadlocks in negotiation? Or are we going to be chanting that you must go? I will ask you again. How can you practically overcome deadlocks in negotiations? And I've already given you the takeaways that we've done in the first 3 episodes. And in this particular episode, we're going to look at equally 3 other areas that hopefully are going to give us a fantastic tie-up of our discussion, leaving you reflecting on the part that you play in what is happening in my country, Kenya, today. And if you're a fellow Kenyan, you do understand what is going on, and we all have a part to play. We are actually abled differently. So there are those who are doing one thing, there are those who are doing another, there are those who are doing a third. What are you doing? Are you part of this? Are you part of rejecting the finance bill? Are you part of it? And what are you doing about it? How are you presenting yourself ahead? So let's just jump into the first one, which is integrative negotiation techniques. And you may ask me, what is that? Well, it focuses on collaboration. For example, and I'll give you this example from something that has worked in my life, literally something that has been true. And before I jump there, I just want to give you the example of what I shared in my last episode about the orange. If you can all remember about the orange. And I said that in one of my trainings, the facilitator gave us an orange. And the assumption was that we were supposed to divide this orange amongst us. Now in the dividing, another assumption came: take a knife and cut it into the number of people that we are around the table. Well, that's what we did. And once we finished, we realized that we really could not optimize the use of this orange effectively. What we should have done on that particular negotiation table, opened up a space for dialogue and ask everybody, of this orange, what do you require of it? There are some who are going to want the orange, the rind of the orange, to maybe bake a cake, when you're going and you're grating it, you're baking a cake. Maybe others want the flesh to create a salad. Maybe others want the seed to plant a whole orchard of oranges. Maybe others want the juice to be able to make a glass of juice. It's the same orange, but we can all use it differently. So it's identifying all had different requirements for resources. And when we look at the different resources that they needed, we would end up competing in a terrible way if we did not look for the shared goals. And when I'm talking about shared goals in a project, what is it that you're looking for? The end game. In my country today, I want to believe that we're all looking for the end game of standing together as Kenyans, looking for that outcome where we have a safe country. We have a country that has got good governance. We've got a country that does not have wastage and pilferage, does not have corruption. This is what we're all looking for. We're not looking at color, creed, tribe. We have this end game, and that's the same thing in your professional life. So if you look at those different departments, what are we all fighting for? We are fighting for the vision of the company. Bring it back home to your families. What are you fighting for? Your family name, the pride and the respect that comes with it, the legacy that comes with your family name. So in the point of professional life, why don't you look at the options like sharing this shared goal or these interests, and then being able to schedule the usage of this orange, because we all want different things from it. Because in the end, this helps you to evaluate the best solution and benefits for everybody. Need I say more about the reason we're on the streets today as Kenyans? So what techniques foster integrative win-win solutions? I've already said it. Shared interests. Figure out what your shared interests are, so that even if we are disagreeing on certain things, we know we have got common ground. We can now come to the table and have dialogue. The end game has got to be the same. All this here now is just a journey. It's what's happening every day, allowing you to wake up and be proud to be called a Kenyan. The other reason is to generate multiple options before deciding. I had a boss who used to say to me, there are many ways to skin a cat. Now, when we are able to do this, to be able to look at how we are skinning this cat, a cat supposedly has 9 lives. So why are we looking at just one way to skin this cat? There's 8 others that we need to look at. Another way, another technique for win-win solutions is to use objective criteria to evaluate options. Get the emotions out of it. Let us be objective. Let us use facts, things that we can hold tangible, and say that when we do this, this is the outcome because history has shown us this. Maybe now we want to change the way we do things. We are bringing in things like best practice. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just saying. So use objective criteria to evaluate your options. So integrative negotiation, in short, helps us to focus on collaboration, like I said. And this gives us all mutual gain. Today's question to you is, how can you practically overcome deadlocks in negotiations? You want to take a moment and just allow that question to sit with you. Well, let's talk about managing deadlocks and impasses, because in my country today, we may just be at a deadlock. But whatever is happening right now, this is 3 o'clock East African time. Right now, there's a mass of Kenyans approaching Parliament. And there could be a deadlock. We don't know what's happening in Parliament yet. We are hopeful that we are all looking for the same thing as Kenyans. As I said, there's no creed, there's no color, there's no tribe today. Today, it is Team Kenya. So overcoming deadlocks requires strategic moves. So whatever your strategic move is, you got to make it real. For instance, I had a lot of experiences in my time in hospitality in discussing contracts, MOUs, what else were we calling them? Agreements. And at times we got to a point when we're discussing with a client that we hit these deadlocks, we hit these impasses. You know what I did? I mean, it took me a while to learn this, to get confident enough to suggest, what shall I say? A walk away, like to walk away from the table, to suggest a break. That's the word I'm looking for. To suggest a break, to go and cool down and then regroup. And upon regrouping, reframe the problem that we were discussing or the outcome that we are looking at is able to give us a long-term value rather than the immediate costs. Because many of these discussions are about here and now, instantaneous gratification. But in managing deadlocks and impasses, I found that taking breaks and coming back and revisiting, regrouping, allowed us to bring another perspective. Remember the 9 lives of a cat to this problem. So the question is, how can you practically overcome deadlocks in negotiations? That's one. Walk away, regroup, come back, rephrase, start again. Maybe bringing in the new perspectives could be difficult, and you might need a third party to come in and see it for you. And practically, I've done this in my trainings where it's in communication and I've got 2 people speaking in dialogue to one another, and I always have a third person listening in. And this third person is coming from an objective point of view. And this helps because then they're able to pinpoint and see, why are these people not agreeing on something? So overcoming deadlocks and impasses involves strategic pauses, and it allows you to uncover new solutions. So allow you in yourself to be in that space of overcoming these deadlocks by allowing yourself to look at new solutions. And then it's a win-win. Like I said in the beginning, you don't have to have won the argument. What you need to do is be able to understand where we're all coming from. This is a win-win situation because tomorrow, friends, you're going to reach another table of negotiation again. It never ends. We're not all alike. And therefore, it's important for us to be ready, to be primed for positive outcomes on negotiation table. And guess what? You need to be on the negotiation table. So what are you bringing to the table? Have you researched and understood what you're bringing? Have you come in with your core need, or is it just a presenting need? Something that we're just talking because everybody's talking about it, so we're getting taken over by emotion. Or have you thought it through for long-term benefits? So talking about long-term, I would like to just introduce the building of long-term relationships. Again, in my professional life, this is what I did. I tell you, for over 30 years, I have built relationships. And most of these people in these relationships have shifted just like me. They've repurposed their skills. But guess what? When I meet you, I remember how you made me feel at the negotiation table. And whatever it is you're doing today, I'm welcoming you to my table. And you are also welcoming me to your table. Because there's levels of trust. That when we were at our last negotiation table, we put our relationship ahead. We put mutual growth and future opportunities ahead. Now, this is so key. Remember what we said in the beginning. What is a shared interest? And then how can we advance that? This is in building long-term relationships. We need to bring trust to the table. Because then if I know that you're not a trustworthy person, even if we have this conversation, I just know it's going nowhere. And I'm wasting my airtime. It's pointless us talking. Why don't we propose joint ventures and then show up for these joint ventures? That's collaboration. That's partnership. You need to play your part in building long-term relationships because this creates a foundation for smoother future negotiations. Because like I said, the negotiation story does not die. It's still coming. It's just still going to rear up its head. Because we want different perspectives of the same thing. Remember, we have a shared goal. We have the same end goal. We should anyway, especially as Kenyans today. So why is focusing on long-term relationships important in negotiations? Because it fosters trust on ongoing collaborations. It reduces adversarial tactics. Those things that we're trying to look for somebody in the back there, stab them and what. We don't need to do that. It becomes transparent when we all put everything on the table and we discuss based on what we have on the table. If you've got something up your sleeve, then really, it's really an unfair discussion here. What about positive relationships leading to future negotiations? You are aware that it doesn't end today. Tomorrow, it'll be about something else. It's always about something else. Pastor Marjorie, thank you so much for joining me here. You said just what I was studying today. Thank you so much for them. I see Nyaga is here. I see I am just Wangare is here. Great to see you guys. I am seeing Black Beauty. Oh, Nyabana, nice to see you there. I am McKenna. Great to see you guys. Petal, wow, that's a blast from the past. Are you in Kenya? Are you in the UK? Great to see you here. Rajiv, that's another blast from the past. See, I'm talking about these relationships. These are relationships that I have had for so many years. And today you're showing up for me. Kagweria Kimathi, great to see you here. Great to see all of them. Zame, blast from the past, from my youth. Guys, today we are talking about win-win solutions, about who must go. Why are we chanting who must go? Because we're at a negotiation table and we're not feeling heard. This is what happens in negotiation tables. We need to feel heard. We need to hear the other person. We need to have an objective approach to what we are discussing, but we need to be heard. And I really send a shout out to all my fellow Kenyans who are out there today standing for the rights of Kenyans. So prioritizing long-term relationships over short-term goals will always be a win-win. It'll always be a win-win. So don't look for I won, but look for these small nuances of doing things right. Allowing people to feel good as they leave the table, even when they did not get what they came for. It results in more effective and amicable interactions in the future because we are coming back to this table. And like in this case, finance bill, we are back here next year, same time. So what are our learnings today? We need to take away those learnings to make sure that we have a head start for the next one. It doesn't end today. Well, we've come to the end of our session today. And in conclusion, the question was, how can you practically overcome deadlocks and impasses, both in your personal, your private lives, in your professional lives, and now as a Kenyan in this country, this lovely country of Kenya? Well, in summary, and I'm just going to read off in summary what I've written down here. There's integrative negotiation techniques focuses on collaborations and mutual gain. That's number one. Secondly, overcoming deadlocks involves strategic pauses, that is reframing issues to uncover new solutions. There are so many ways to skin a cat. Lastly, prioritizing long-term relationships over short-term allows us to create a foundation of trust and cooperation. I can see, Pastor Marjorie, you have got something there for us. You say, showing appreciation and recognition. Aha, that is how Pastor Marjorie practically overcomes deadlocks and negotiation. Look at that, appreciation, recognition. I can even hear the word gratitude coming out there. Thank you for your participation in today's session. I leave you with these 3 takeaways for a win-win. I encourage you to identify shared interests, because once you do, the person on the other end stops being the enemy. They become an ally, only we're at different sides of the table. So identify shared interests. Allow for breaks to cool down and regroup. Very key. That's the second one. The last one is focusing on long-term relationships, because the gain that comes from there opens up the world for future negotiations, because we are getting back to this table whether you like it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. We will have negotiations every day and we'll have decision making. So thank you so much for joining me today on Building Win-Win Solutions. Oh, I beg your pardon. For building win-win solutions in a challenging situation that we are, which is so relevant to what we are going through as a country today. And it is so key that we are here today, and there's already 4 episodes that can help us. These are tools. So the recording of this episode will be available on my YouTube channel by this evening, and the other recordings are there. The ones where I was building up to this day, you want to take your time, go there and just go through them. I'd love to hear back from you. In the meantime, our social media platforms continue to educate and inspire you. You can find me here on Instagram and on Facebook as Lucy_your Clarity Coach, LinkedIn as Lucy Macridis, and TikTok as Clarity Coach Lucy. I guess I just want to bring it up to a perfect bow tie end of the Negotiation Mastery series. How can we excel in negotiation and conflict resolution? Well, by mastering negotiation principles, I shared that in episode 1. Conflict resolution skills, I shared that in episode 2. Balancing assertiveness, that is episode 3. And today, choosing a win-win in every solution. There are so many ways we can skin a cat, because in this way we can navigate in our professional and in our personal lives effectively, so that we can achieve positive outcomes. So the question to you is, and I leave you with this, what are you going to do differently today? What are you going to do differently today? Right, that's a wrap. Our July Tuesday Talks at 3 is going to be about prioritizing time. Oh, time is fleeting. But we're going to be looking at prioritizing time as we mark the middle of the year with measuring and evaluating our progress from the beginning of the year. If you created a vision board plan, this is the time to go back and check it out, because you've got the rest of the year to get back on track or to amplify what you're doing. Let us help build each other. And until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.